Welcome back to Strayatrains. In this video, we look at the harsh reality of the circle of life, the once most common train on Melbourne's network and maybe Melbourne's most iconic train is finally falling victim to Father Time. In this video, we take a look at the Comeng scrapping process and what exactly happens after the train is retired. Hope you enjoy the video. Step 1. Stripping the carriages. Just a quick heads up, for various reasons it is very hard to get footage of the overall scrapping process, so sorry if the footage is a little limited throughout the video. First up, we take a look at after the train is withdrawn from service, where various parts are kept from scrapping. This stage is known as stripping. The main reason for this is so some parts can be reused for the remaining Comeng fleet, but also some parts are scrapped separately. As we will see later in this video, the carriages are going to the scrap metal yards are basically stripped down to pretty much nothing but the actual shell itself. Whilst some parts are taken out at Newport workshops, other parts are taken out at North Bendigo workshops and the McConnell Dow rail plant in Sunshine North. The carriages are initially separated from the consist before essentially being stripped into their bare shells. Whilst some parts are taken out at Newport workshops, other parts are taken out at North Bendigo workshops and the McConnell Dow rail plant in Sunshine North. The carriages are initially separated from the consist before essentially being stripped into their bare shells. Internal parts such as seating, passenger information displays, poles, cabin controls, stickers, and external parts such as the front fiberglass, the pantographs, and bogies are amongst some of the parts that are separated and stripped from the carriages. Generally, the stripping stage of a 3-carriage set is about a 1 to 2 week job. Though note, it can be done quicker and sometimes stripping does not necessarily start the day that a set is retired. In fact, it generally doesn't. Next up, the road transfer. Let's take a look at 310M departing North Bendigo workshops en route to the scrapyard.
Well, that's even better still. That's the packing.
They go together.
If you were wondering why there were 2 trucks or 2 carriages in the previous clip, if you look closely, it was actually 1 carriage, being 310M, being chopped in half and transported in 2 parts due to it being quite a big size load on the back of a truck. As we see, the trucks seem to remain very close to each other through the whole trip. This particular transfer was from North Bendigo workshops to the scrap place in Laverton North. After a carriage is completely stripped, it is lifted and put onto the back of a truck trailer. Eventually, it is transferred to a scrapyard either in Ringwood or Laverton North. A few earlier carriages did go to Dandenong South and a yard in Tallangatta. Due to carriages being considered an oversized load, there are limited times that these movements can take place on our roads. Escort vehicles are sometimes utilised as well to guide the way. Interestingly, bogies are transferred separately as we see them right here, leaving the McConnell Dow rail plant. I believe these were heading off to Laverton North as well, though I'm not 100% sure. And rewinding just a little bit, we see the crane picking up a very heavy 334M carriage to be placed on top of a truck trailer, where we see the truck get in position to transfer that carriage to Laverton North in the near future. Finally, the crush. After the dreaded transfer to the scrap metal place, the chop officially begins. At these places, the carriages are cut, chopped, and eventually crushed into very tiny parts. In this Comeng graveyard, we see many carriages in different states. Here we are at the Laverton North place, which is one of the two main scrapping facilities. As you can see, it is very hard to get footage due to the high fencing around the place. Sets that were likely here were 334M 1044T 390M, 365M 1042T 383M, 411M 1056T 412M, and probably 314 and 1017T. There were definitely other carriages, although they were quite hard to identify. According to the Department of Transport, up to about 80% of the Comeng are actually being recycled. So it is fair to say a majority of the parts of the train is actually getting recycled for future use elsewhere, meaning maybe the Comeng will be around us a little longer than we think without us actually knowing. I have put a link in the description of a video made by the Department of Transport, which not only has cool facts about the Comeng scrapping process, but also has some nice footage which I highly recommend checking out. And just to add on a little bit, how long does this scrapping process actually take? Well, whilst it doesn't appear to be a set timeline, for example, this needs to happen X days after retirement. For a little timeline, let's take a look at 314M scrapping process, which was at the time of retirement the oldest carriage operating on our network. Here was a random photo I had taken of 314M on November 10, 2022, 7 days before it appeared to have run its final service of its elusive 40-year lifetime across our network. Here it is on December 7 at Newport Workshops, whilst getting partially stripped. The following day on December 8, getting transferred at Albion, and at the McConnell Dow rail plant in Sunshine North, moments after its final movement on rails ever. And on December 14, yes, 1 week later, on December 14, 2022, crushed upside down at the Laverton North scrapyard place. Just mind-blowing how 40 years of history is gone in about 5 weeks. Crazy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a thing or two about this saddening but inevitable process. And I think we'll leave it at that. Cheers.